A uvedl bych našeho dalšího přednášejícího, což je Ryša Opálka, a ten nám řekne něco o webových službách na JBossu, takže je to tvoje, Rio.
Takže díky. Good evening, everybody. My name is Richard Opalka, and today I will give you a 1000 feet point of view on JBoss Web Services. And I don't plan to dive into architecture or design details of it. I will just talk in general. Thus, I'm happy my colleague Mark was talking about examples and all this stuff around this, because I'm not going really to cover this in this presentation. It will be really high level, just to discuss the abilities of JBoss and where we are at the moment, and so on. Okay. Okay, so I think I can continue. So what is JBoss? This is the first term I'm going to explain here. JBoss was founded, is a project that was started by Marc Fleury. He's from French. He was born in 1968 and has a degree in mathematics and a doctorate from physics. He worked for Sun Microsystems in French before he moved to the US. He was working on many Java projects there, and in 1999 he founded the JBoss project. It was the open source project at the beginning, and then it was in 2001 he created a JBoss LLC company. That was the first company of JBoss project, covering the JBoss project. Later in 2006, the JBoss was acquired by Red Hat, and that's all the story about JBoss history. Now we are JBoss, part of Red Hat. We are a separate division, we are doing our Java projects there, but we are part of Red Hat. What is Red Hat? Many of you, I think, know it. We're trying to be the technology definition company of 21st century, and that's our vision in general. So, what is JBoss? I was thinking what to put here on this slide. I found one picture, I think, is the best picture I was able to put in my presentation to explain what is JBoss. JBoss in present is a Java of, it's a set of Java projects. The most famous, it's JBoss AS. It's the biggest project, but there are also other projects such as Tools, Portal, and so on. I saw there were already some presentations about Theme framework here, Hibernate engine, and so on. So these are the most important projects of JBoss. I'd like to highlight one project here. Better said two. The first is JBoss Web Services. This is the project I will talk about in this presentation. And the second, I think the most important, is JBoss Microcontainer. JBoss Microcontainer, it's a refactoring of JBoss JMX microkernel that was used in AS4 series, and it was redesigned to support plain project deployments and to be separate from AS at all. So you can embed it in your custom environments and so on. So it's something like Spring IOC container. Why I'm talking about this? Because JBoss 5 was released now after 3 years of development. And the most part of this redesign and development was just in this JBoss microcontainer project. So this is the moving force of JBoss to the 5 series. So in this presentation, I'm going to talk about JBoss Web Services project. What is it? Its structure, how it works, what do we support? It will be just high-level point of view on this project. So, what is JBoss WS? I was explaining it on previous slide. It's a J2 compliant open source application server. The project URL is this link. By the way, the presentation will be available on czjug pages since tomorrow. There might be some confusions about JBoss versions, so I decided to cover this first. There are 3 major JBoss releases available on our download site. Is JBoss AS4 version. This version is J2 1.4 compliant, and we support any JDK from 1.4 to 1.5 that is JDK certified. That is, it can be, for example, IBM, Java, it can be Sun Java, it can be OpenJDK, and so on. The AS4.2 differs only slightly from AS4. The main difference is there is EJB3 deployed by default in this. And another thing is it supports Java 5 and above. And finally, we released after 3 years of development JBoss AS5 last December. It's J2.5 compliant implementation of this server. And again, any JDK from 1.5 that is Java certified is supported again. So this is about JBoss versions. Again, I was trying to find some great paper that will show you how complex web services in reality are. And this is the best picture I found on InnoQ. You can see different sets of specifications in this picture. I'm not going to cover any of this specification you can see on this slide in this presentation because it would be out of topic of what I'm going to present here. But to explain some basic sets, for example, at the bottom you can imagine it's something like express language. There are XML specifications. You can see there. Oh, it's not visible here. For example, there is XML specification, XML schema specification, Java XML namespaces specification. This is the group below. As you can see, there are many specifications included there. Then there are messaging specifications that belongs, for example, SOAP version 1.1, 1.2, eventing, WS eventing, and other specifications. And there are other different groups of specifications such as metadata specifications, reliability specifications. We saw reliable messaging in previous presentation that belongs to this group of WS star specifications. And this is the set of all these specifications that cover web services in general. On the right side, you can see the dependencies of these specifications explained. For example, here in this right column, on the left side, there is a list of specifications, and on the right side, you can see the columns of specifications. These specifications on left side depend on. So we can see it's a huge dependency set again. And finally, there are also some clarification specifications. You can see them on the left side. And they were created because there were some interoperability issues with web services in general. And so many experts decided to create these specifications to ensure at least some minimal set of conformance when exchanging messages between web services. So this is the web services world. If you would want to dive into this world, the best place is again Wikipedia. You can just type in the specification of your wish and take a look what the specification is about. Again, I'm not going to cover all the specifications in this presentation. As you can see, it's really a huge set of specifications, and it would be a real madness to implement it in one product. So the advantage of open source here in this area is you can use different stacks, integrate them somewhere, and you can have, for example, WS reliable messaging in one stack, and you can use another stack, for example, to use WS security. This is the idea of open source. And we at JBoss are trying to follow this model, because to develop all these specifications on our own, it would be really terrible. So we decided to create a general framework in JBoss that will try to cover all potential future web service stacks and embed them to the AS. This is the idea and the moving force of JBoss Web Services project. So, what is JBoss Web Services? As you saw on the first nice picture, it's one sub-project of JBoss AS. The project URL is here. Is the second point of this list. And JBoss Web Services, it's a project that implements web services related specifications in J2E specifications. Concretely, it implements JAX RPC. It's an old approach to developing web services in Java. Then it's JAX WS, JAX B for binding data to XML and vice versa, JAX R and SAAJ. These are the specifications that are covered with JBoss Web Services project. Again, the best place to dive into these specifications is to download them from JSP page and study it from the specification. It's always the best place. As I said before, our approach is not to implement all these specifications on our own, but instead of that, try to embed different substacks to JBoss and cover as maximum set of WS style specifications as possible. So this is the main goal of JBoss Web Services framework. I will cover this in this presentation. In present, main focus of JBoss Web Services team is only JAX WS. We don't care about JAX RPC at the moment. It's in maintenance. It's in maintenance now, and we don't do anything in this area. Maybe some of you know it. Maybe some of you not. JAX RPC and JAX R are already old specifications that Java experts decided will be removed from J2E specification because they are old. There are better APIs to do the same thing in a better way. So this is going to be removed in J2E 7. Now, since J2E 6, it will be proposed for removal. So it will be again in J2E 6, but should be removed from J2E 7. So again, we are not focusing on JAX R and JAX RPC because of this. Something about our project from management point of view. 2 years ago, we were inspired by Eric Steven Raymond essay about Bazaar model, and we decided to switch to frequent releases with a predictable time of releases. The main advantage of this is many our users can get hotfixes to the AS without waiting for AS release, because AS release is different. It takes longer, and we are trying to follow the idea of the Bazaar model to release early and release often to provide the fixes and improvements in shorter periods. So we have released every 8 weeks. We have 2 weeks for feature selection and analysis of the future coding. Then we spent 4 weeks on real development of the features we decided to deliver in particular version. And last 2 weeks we have for QA documentation, particularly integrating it to the AS if there's an AS release coming in close time. We always support last 3 stable AS releases. You can see the list of currently supported AS versions here. It's 2.2, 2.3 and 5.0 version. So as I said a few minutes ago, we have in JBoss WS general web services framework that is trying to decouple AS internals from SOAP stack internals and allow easy integration of different stacks to embed it to the AS. The main goal of web services framework is to avoid so-called not invented here syndrome. Not invented here syndrome, I saw it on one presentation here too, is a manifest of inability to accept different product or solution because it originates from different group or team or company, and instead of using it, you are deciding to implement it on your own. Sometimes it's a good model. Not invented here syndrome doesn't apply for open source projects in case you are trying to solve one problem that is already solved by some other programs, but all those programs are non-free. In such case, we don't speak about not invented here. It's just implementation. Okay. So as you can see on this list, at the moment we support 3 SOAP stacks with JBoss AS. The first one we call native. It's JBoss web services stack. The second one is Metro that was presented by Mark a few minutes ago. And the third one is Apache Celtics Xfire. It's JBoss WS SOAP stack 2. Each stack comes with its own feature set, performance. Some of them implement reliable messaging, some of them not. And if you take the onion of all these 3 stacks, you can see we cover more specifications than we would be cover when we would be just using JBoss native. And of course, our users have a choice. They can choose the stack they prefer for their development. This is the high-level point of view on our JBoss Web Services product. The red boxes on this picture represent the JBoss Web Services code. Yellow boxes represents third-party stacks, concretely Metro and CXF. And the blue color are different AS versions. The moving force of JBoss Web Services is SPI and framework. That's in the middle. Then we have integration layers for each AS we're trying to support. That's the second line of this picture. And then we have, again, integration layer for each stack we want to bind to the AS. And at the bottom, there are WS star extensions we are trying to cover and get to JBoss. We have a generic JBoss test suite. It's a test suite that covers all the functionalities we want to get to the JBoss. If there is a functionality that's not yet supported, we simply just exclude it from tests, and once the integration work is done and particular WS star extension works in JBoss, we uncomment it from our excludes file. So the moving force of this approach is our JBoss WS test suite that ensures everything's right. So, what about the previous picture? As I said, the moving force is SPI, which provides the abstraction of integration points both with AS and with stacks, and allows us the pluggability of different stacks into different AS versions. AS integration is SPI implementation that decouples AS from stack internals. We implement it there and it's independent from particular AS. For example, we are creating some metadata. There are different metadata for AS4, AS42 and AS5. We have a unified metadata model, and our integration layer for AS version translates JBoss model to our generic web services metadata model. This is our abstraction that decouples us from AS. Then we have stack integration layer. Again, stack integration layer tries to decouple the AS from substack internals. So we are again creating our own metadata that should allow us to don't rely on particular substack. We just use some generic API and we can use the substack of our choice. And the last component you saw in the previous picture was framework. Framework implements some generic stuff that is independent from particular substack. This is the list of features we have in JBoss Native at the present. It's a JAX WS implementation. JAX RPC, as I said, in maintenance mode now. And then we have MTOM, XOP, and SOAP with attachment support as well. JMS transport, and these 6 WS star specifications: addressing, security, policy, eventing, reliable messaging, and BPEL. BPEL we support only for JAX RPC endpoints, and I think we won't support it again after JAX RPC will be removed from J2E7. Regarding Metro and Apache CXF integration, on December we were finally able to run every JAX WS test from TCK5 test suite against Metro, and it passed on 100%. So at the moment we are sure we're done with Metro integration. The only thing that is remaining for us is to unlock more WS star specifications from it. This is the lowest line. We were able to unlock WS addressing, security, policy, reliable messaging from Metro and CXF, and we don't support JAX RPC with these stacks. So once you will decide you will move to Apache Celtics X-Fire or Sun Metro, you won't have JAX RPC support there. Then we have some cross-stack tools. Cross-stack tools are in our framework. The first cross-stack tool is Management Console. It's Web Service Management Console where you can see published endpoints, their names, contract. You can see some statistics about start and stop time and count of requests and responses that came from particular servers. And then we have a so-called records management system. It's again cross-independent. It's again stack independent. You can see the exchange messages there. You can implement your own filters on it. So you can view, for example, particular messages from particular IP address. You can implement some security checks there. You can do some statistics of your endpoints in production, and you can use this management from JMX API or our SPI API. Current project status. Our next focus in JBoss Web Services will be J2E6 certification. It applies to our native stack. And next, we are trying to unlock more WS star features from Sun Metro and Apple Celtic Expire in next upcoming releases. So you can expect six releases this year of JBoss Web Services, but we will try to unlock all these features. What you as users can do for JBoss is, as said by Mark, you can vote on our features you would like to see in JBoss. You can provide patches, you can provide bugs, bug reports, you can communicate with other developers on our forums, and you can give us your opinion on your preferred SOAP stack. The main goal of this JBoss Web Services project is, as I said, to decouple AS from SOAP stacks and vice versa, and provide as many WS star extensions as possible. This is the moving force of JBoss Web Services project now. So, any questions? Can be in Czech or Slovak, of course. No questions.
So, what exactly is needed to unlock Metro features? Because we believe Metro should work with any servlet container, except for some things like TCP transfer, they just direct dependencies on the app server in Chronos. So, is it just that you are plugging in this additional functionality which wraps the stack, or?
Yes, I'll explain. With Metro, it's very simple because Metro provides many extensibility points where you can join particular implementations. So what about Metro? It's not such a problem to unlock some features. As you said, it's about servlets only. So what it means for us to unlock some feature from particular stack is once if there is a stack that claims he supports, for example, reliable messaging, then the first step we are trying to do is to create a test for it. We are trying to make this test pass. That's the first step, and second step, if we have done it, we have to document it on our sites. So to unlock means both provide test, provide implementation if any required, and document the feature. This is what unlock for us mean.
So when you are talking about unlocking, it doesn't mean that the things that you haven't listed would not work.
Yes, yes. It just means we don't have tests for it. We don't test it yet. Doesn't mean we don't have it. With Celtics Expire, it's a little bit complicated because it's based on Spring, and there are many hooks that are required, and it's not nice at the moment. So we are trying to focus on CXF next 2-3 releases, and to improve our integration with it. Because as I said on previous slide, we are already done with JBoss WS. This is our main criteria for particular stack. Once we have JBoss WS tests passing, we are fine with integration and we like it. So this is the problem of CXF at the moment. We don't pass as many tests, concretely JBoss WS tests we would like, so our next focus is on CXF to be TCK5 compliant with JBoss WS specification there. Another question?
Do you put any effort in studying performance impact which could be caused by that additional glue code which JBoss provides, for example, for Metro, does it mean it will JBoss integration will cause some performance for Metro?
It can, of course. What about Metro? The current model is we are emulating the Glassfish runtime, so we have the hooks in place that are emulating the Glassfish calls. For example, there are some callbacks and there are some calls from Metro stack, so we have a particular deployment aspect for it, and of course it can take some time because it's an integration. But we do not test the performance issues if it's deployed to Glassfish or if it's in JBoss. We don't care about performance now.
Okay.
Another thing I would like to say is everything you saw here on Mark's presentation applies to JBoss as well, because once you have a WAR file or EJB archive, you can take it and put it to JBoss, and if you have Metro integrated with JBoss, it will, with high probability, work there without any coding necessary. So, for example, you can use NetBeans and Glassfish for development, but if you have a JBoss in production, you can take the created web service and put it to JBoss with Metro embedded, and it should work. So everything that was in previous presentation should apply to JBoss as well.
So do you have any plans to participate in Metro development in some like cooperative way?
We are cooperating on forums, but not so frequently. Our way of working at the moment is we are diving into code base of particular soap stack, analyzing how it works, and many times it's better and more visible from the implementation how it works than to ask on some forum for some help. For us, it's much more simple to study the code base and analyze it.
Yes, so what I was asking is, I guess that if you know, if you deep dive into the code base and you see some maybe bugs or something, if you plan to report those back to Metro.
Yes, we are of course creating the Giga issues in Metro. You can find, I'm sure you can find it there. We had previous developers in JBoss Web Services stack. It was, maybe you know it, it was Heiko Brown and Thomas Dissler. Thomas Dissler was a previous lead of JBoss Web Services, and as far as I know, they created many issues in Metro that have been fixed or in other way cooperated with us how to achieve particular goal to get something there. Of course, we are always open to any communication with Metro developers. We are not closed. We are trying to be open. We are not trying to implement it on our own. We are trying to use what is available in the world and to integrate it with AS. Who use JBoss here? And Glassfish? And Geronimo project? No one in Geronimo? Tomcat is famous. I think everybody uses Tomcat. If you use JBoss, you use Tomcat as well.
Glassfish use even better Tomcat in it.
No questions at all? Can be Czech or in Slovak, of course.
Žádné další otázky nejsou, tak já bych zase rád poděkoval za velice zajímavou